All right, movie review for Dillinger, 1973, directed by and written by John Milius. This is a great movie. I was very impressed by it. I mean, I didn't expect that much. I mean, it's I know John Milius, great director, great writer, but I don't know. I just heard it was good. It's kind of in the kind of like a Sam Peckinpah movie. That's what it felt like to me, anyways. Um, but yeah, it's John Dillinger. He's on the run, bank robberies, and if you know the story, you know how it ends. Warren Oates is Dillinger, and man, he is perfect. He's absolutely perfect. He's got charisma, confidence, um, but kind of a sense that he's not a terrible guy, which is funny. Like I don't know if it's that accurate, but I do think that at the time he was kind of a mythical figure, and the common man and woman did kind of respect and like him, and he definitely shows that in this. Um, he never, when he robs banks, he never really wants to kill the people inside. Sometimes he kills like a security guard, but he never wants to kill an average person, even though he's robbing them. But he's kind of like a gentleman about it, which was interesting and different. Um, Even if some of his gang is like psychos, but he's a leader of the gang and they listen to him. And um, yeah, so you kind of like him as a character, and John Milius, great script, great director, Conan the Barbarian. I think that's probably his best movie, but this is right after that. And, he wrote Apocalypse Now. And this cast is just incredible. Warren Oates, Ben Johnson as Melvin Purvis, who's the guy that's chasing him, basically. Michelle Phillips as basically his woman, Billy Fretchett. Harry Dean Stanton, Jeffrey Lewis, Richard Dreyfuss as Babyface Nelson, and Steve Canali as Pretty Boy Floyd. So, and that's pretty much his gang. I mean, Harry Dean Stanton, that guy was in, R.I.P. That guy was in so many great movies, and he's great in this too. But yeah, this movie, it just is like just relentless. It almost feels like a modern movie to me. Um, Although it's better because it's shot on film, which I'm sorry. I know some people go, well, digital's the exact same. And it's like, okay, you're watching it digitally. That's true. But it's the original source material. Source will be film. It just looks better. I don't know. I think it has more color variation. And of course the film grain where the detail is. But don't tell James Cameron that. Because like if you listen to him, he hates the look of film. It sounds like, which is just crazy. But they don't make movies like this anymore because the newer one or whatever was with Johnny Depp, and that movie. I mean, it's just compared to this, it sucks. Like, and Johnny Depp's a good actor, but man, compared to Warren Oates, like you know, you are not. Yeah, I mean, that movie's a huge disappointment, and that movie shot on a digital camera, and I don't think they were ready for prime time by the time. But in that, what is that, like 2009 or something, 2008, and I don't know. That movie's always looked weird to me. This movie looks way better. I think It's got a better pace. This movie's funny too in some parts. You get a laugh. Some of his gang is funny. Warren Oates can be funny. And like I said, you actually like the guy. It means somewhat. He's a flawed character, but he's a man of his time. But you actually kind of like the guy, and you're kind of rooting for him. And the guy that's chasing him is also, very well done. I like the little character detail that whenever he is about to catch one of the members of his gang, or one of these famous bank robbers, he has as he puts it, a cigar, and he lights it up, and then he goes and catches the guy. Like, one of them, he's just waiting in his room, and he has a Tommy gun. A lot of Tommy guns in this movie. And the guy opens the door, and then he goes for his gun, just blasts him away, and he's smoking his cigar. He's smoking it at the end when he. And this is all spoilers. I mean, if you don't know the story of Dillinger, how can you not? So, but yeah, all spoilers. Great movie. I'd highly recommend it. It's an hour 47 minutes. It's not that long, but yeah, it's just amazing. Then at the end, when he catches Dillinger coming out of the theater, I think in Chicago, and he uses the cigar as a sign to his other men that this is Dillinger. When he's like, "When I light it up, you know that that's him." So great little character detail for Melvin Purvis. I also like the scene when he's getting his, I think, his shoes shined, and there's a little he's talking to this little kid, this little boy, and he starts talking to him about Dillinger, and this kid like idolizes Dillinger, but not him. And he's like, "I bet when you grow up, you want to be an FBI man." And he's like, "No, I want to be like John Dillinger." And he's kind of like shocked at that. And I bet he says, "Oh, I bet your daddy tells you that crime doesn't pay, doesn't he?" And he's like, "I don't got a daddy." So the kids grows up in the mean streets of Chicago, but yeah, it's an incredible movie. I mean, now they use all digital squibs. I mean, there's so many squibs in this movie. It's like I don't even know how many guys Dillinger and his gang gunned down. I mean, they're mostly cops and FBI agents and stuff. A little bit of the security. Sometimes there's a security guard in one of the banks and stuff, and it gets messy. But he doesn't enjoy that. There's even a scene with Richard Dreyfuss, a young Richard Dreyfuss, who's in this as Babyface Nelson. You get it confused because there's also Pretty Boy Floyd, but and he doesn't like to be called Babyface Nelson. And then about halfway through the movie, he meets up with some other famous. I mean, well, I guess would you call them gangsters? I mean, not really. I mean, it's bank robbers, and he says he's like, "Oh, when I rob banks, he's like I kill everyone." He's like, "I don't care. I gun them all down." And then Dillinger's like, "No, no, I don't like that." He's like, "Of course someone gets in your way." He's like, "But you don't have to gun down the people in the bank." And then he doesn't like that, and he's like, "Come over here. I want to talk to you." Oh yeah, and then Dillinger's like, "Well, I'm the head of this gang." He doesn't let Richard Dreyfuss doesn't like that, and then he just basically beats him up. He basically just beats him up, throws him in the river. Then after that, he doesn't say much to Dillinger. He just listens to him. So, but yeah, it's such an enjoyable movie, and like when he's when he's in jail, I think he makes a gun out of soap. And he's just so confident too. He's just like, "Oh, I'm immortal." Like he tells his girlfriend, "Oh, I'm immortal. Like they can't kill me." Because like he's been so lucky and been just barely injured, and people love him. And like when he's arrested, this guy tells all the press and the cops to get away from him, and then he hands the guy $50, and they're like, and then they ask the guy, "How do you feel about taking $50 from John Dillinger?" The guy, and then Dillinger's like, "Oh, is that only 50? Here's 100." Um, but yeah, the scene when he's escaping jail, that scene's great, and he makes a gun. He's able to get out. There's this other guy in jail, and and then he says to some other guy, he's like, "Should I release you?" And, like a guy he knows, and he's like, "No, I'm too tired." And then this other guy, he's like, "Hey, let me out." And he's like, "What are you in for?" And then he says he's in there for murder, and he's like, "Okay." he's like, "Just watch my back." And he gives him a gun, and then they go to like the car lot where there's some I think they're Nat State Guard, National Guard, and all of them are just kind of nice to him and kind of respectful of him, and he's respectful to them. He doesn't beat him up. He's just like, "Hey, like what's the fastest car in here?" And he's like, "All right, fill it up." He's like, "We're gonna take that one." And then he says to them, he's like, I think he says like, "Okay, boys, give me a head start. It's more sporting that way." So, but yeah, it's just man, really good, and it just I mean, watch this and watch the new one. It's just like, ugh. And J. Edgar Hoover protested this film being made and demanded that changes be made to the script that to depict the FBI in a better light. Shortly before his death, he recorded a disclaimer to the film. Heck, who the heck? It's like that's crazy. It can be heard spoken by an imitation voice after the closing credits. The film depicts John Dillinger being shot outside the biograph after he pulls his gun. In fact, Dillinger never pulled a gun that night. The FBI decided they're going to kill Dillinger rather than attempt to take him alive. They announced their presence. He turned to run. He was shot 6 times in the back. When Dillinger talks to reporters while being escorted through Lake County Jail in Crown Point, Indiana, he shakes the hand of an anonymous woman and talks about how he likes the chief of police and the warden. In real life, the woman was Sheriff Lillian Howley, who was the chief of police and the warden of the prison from which Dillinger made his famous wooden gun escape. Yeah, like that. Like he's not just like an asshole to like like these people, like even people that just captured him. Like he's kind of like a gentleman. And they even ask him about the president, FDR. And they're like, they're like, do you like the president? He's like, yeah, I'm a big fan of him. And then they ask about the New Deal, and he's like, yeah, it sounds pretty good, but I think it may bankrupt the country. So he's not just like, screw them, and they're evil, and I'm good. And this is a quote from Melius. I got very expensive as a writer, so I was able to make a deal with AIP, who'd have never been able to buy one of my scripts. I said I'll write whatever you want if I can direct it. I've had paid them to direct. I looked at the gangsters of the time, and the one that had the most appeal was John Dillinger. It was a subject I would have never chosen myself, but allowed me to show how good I could do in a gunfight. Make the stuff cut together, make the story hold up, and make the actors act. I liked it. The violence, because it's real. There are consequences in Dillinger. You rob a bank, people are going to start shooting, and people are going to get hurt and shot. They run over a woman leaving the bank. Yeah, because that's what they did. They were desperate. But you don't dwell on it. You don't dwell on the bullet hole and blood pulsing out. Right. It's like if you get in their way, they're not really good guys, but he's not he doesn't rejoice in being evil. Is kind of, how the movie is, and that's good because you don't hate John Dillinger. So I mean, I don't know if this is true, I mean, in some aspects it is true, like how he got caught and everything, but The real biograph in theater in Chicago, where Dillinger was killed, was one of the longest serving movie theaters in America, built in 1914. It finally stopped showing movies in July 2004 when it was closed for renovation to a stage theater. While drinking in the bar, Billy comments that Dillinger looks like Douglas Fairbanks. While Dillinger looks nothing like Fairbanks, it is a reference to Dillinger's admiration of Fairbanks. In real life, Dillinger, a movie buff, loved Fairbanks in The Mask of Zorro and its sequels. In the film, one of Fairbanks' stunts was to leap over a mesa wall. Dillinger supposedly loved that stunt so much that in early robberies, Dillinger used to vault over teller cages, imitating Fairbanks' moves in the movie. When Dillinger is locking up the guards during his wooden gun jailbreak, oh, it's wooden. I swear it looked like he was carving it out of soap. One of the guards asks, "Where'd you get that?" To which Dillinger replies, "From my lawyer." In real life, many historians have uncovered evidence that John Dillinger's lawyer, Louis Picot, made arrangements with Homer Van Meter and Babyface Nelson to bribe a guard to smuggle a real life gun to Dillinger for his escape. The guard chickened out and gave Dillinger a wooden gun to buff his way out. Well, it worked. In 2003, writer director Milius said to the movie, "I look at it today and I find it very crude, but I do find it immensely ambitious." I think it's amazing. I mean, maybe that's why it's so good because it's kind of like rough, around the edges. Like it's not all polished. Like the whatever, the one with Johnny Depp. It's like it's just too over polished. We didn't have a lot of money or time. We didn't have such things. We only had so many feet of track, stuff like that. So I couldn't do moving shots if they involved more than 6 yards of track. We never had any kind of crane or anything. That's the way movies were made then. Although the film accurately portrays Babyface Nelson as a crazy gangster, contrary to what the film shows in an introductory scene where Dillinger fights Nelson, the two outlaws got along well together in real life. Ben Johnson, Melvin Pulvis, was 54 when shooting this film. The real life Pulvis died at age 56. Okay, yeah, so the guy who caught Dillinger was much younger. As of 2010, Warren notes, yeah, and he kind of looks like him. Is the only ever John Dillinger movie actor who actually looked like the notorious gangster. Writer director John Milius once said he wanted to make a movie about John Dillinger because of all the outlaws, he was the most marvelous. But yeah, Roger Ebert in 1973, he really liked it. 3 out of 4 stars. Dillinger in this film, we may speculate that John Milius was born to make violent, tough, filled with guns and blood. Milius is the hot young screenwriter whose credits to date include Jeremiah Johnson and The Life and Times of Judge Roy Bean. I did a review for Jeremiah Johnson. That's another good movie. I think this is better, but and if we may believe published reports, his contracts all specify that he provided with rare and expensive rifle in addition to his salary. As a gimmick, it's a good one. Hollywood executives are impressed sometimes by eccentricity, particularly if it shows and meant to advertise potential genius. And the bear like Melia seems to spook them. I'd suspect, though, that the rifles were for publicity. Apparently not. Dillinger is a movie written and directed by a man with a thing for guns, which is very much true. Milius, big, let's say, Second Amendment fan. But yeah, he's a big fan of it. But anyways, I highly recommend the movie. I thought it was great. I really don't have any criticism. Maybe at the little bits where there's a little lull in the movie. Um, but yeah, just really enjoyed it. So, anyways, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.